Welcome to the final round of the Animator Guild Short Film Contest 2023. So how did we get here? Well, we started with 1,200 registrations to this contest back in October last year. 10 months later, over 100 animations were submitted to animatorguild.com, and from these 100, 3/4 of the animations have been showcased out of the 100 animations entered into this contest. Now, the hardest hitting films made their way all the way to this round, where they will compete for the 3 top prize positions. Things are going to get extremely competitive from here. Thanks to the support from our sponsors, we have over $5,000 worth of prizes to deliver to the 3 winners who score the highest overall. I'll remind you, our sponsors are TV Paint, XP Pen, and of course animatorguild.com. XP Pen have a new state-of-the-art tablet available that you can have a look at in the description. They have a tablet to suit every artist's need, so it's really worth browsing their site. So consider giving yourself a hardware upgrade by going to xppen.com. Similarly, you can consider giving yourself a software upgrade. TV Paint developed the most intuitive, professional-grade 2D animation software in the world. They specialize in bringing the look of traditional paper animation to the digital frontier. I love their software, and that's why I use it to animate in my professional projects and my personal projects. Now, as you may already know, Animator Guild provides online tutorials, courses, and downloadable resources for animators. Our latest branch is called Motion Lab, which provides packs of authentic dynamic reference footage to animators. These are great for studying, for educational reasons, and for if you are a professional animator and you want to make your animations look and feel more authentic. Remember that this has been a free to enter non-profit event. So none of us have made any money from this in order to make it free for anyone from any financial background to enter. Now, if you want to help pay us back for this, visit our websites and consider buying something that will improve your animations. So anyway, now that I've talked about the sponsors, I want to talk about the judges. Now, I've called in backup from 2 expert judges, Gilded Guy and Animation. Now, these 2 experts have taken time out of their schedules to thoroughly score these finalist entries and give feedback. If you don't know who these guys are yet, you really should check out their YouTube channels and consider subscribing to them. You'll learn a lot about animation by visiting these 2 channels. So they're linked in the description for you to check out. Thanks to our sponsors, this means that there are thousands of dollars worth of prizes to be won by our top 3 animators that are chosen by our judges. These prize winners will be announced at the end of this live event once we have watched all of the animations. But for now, let's crack on with our first finalist. Get settled, get seated, find a comfortable spot, and enjoy these original short films. Let's watch. Gilded Guy. First of all, I want to say thank you very much for coming on to the contest, giving us your thoughts, giving us your scores for each of the finalist entries.
Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for sorting throughout all of the entries. I know it was a lot of work just to get to these finalists. There's been a lot of great quality and variety among the finalists from what I've seen. It was actually a lot of fun to go through.
What did you think about Lost Mechanicum?
This was the first one I saw of all of the entries, and it was pretty standout from the get-go because I was really impressed by the 3D background integration with the 2D animation. And I would say that I had questions in my mind throughout watching this, and I guess that's just how interesting the little world that was crafted. The standout thing about that one for me was definitely the art style.
Yeah.
I thought the character designs were pretty intriguing, and you immediately got that sense of that steampunk world.
I would definitely agree with that. So it's interesting, you gave it the art style. I gave it the standout in sound. Just really impressed me, and so I ended up giving it quite a high score in sound as well. But I would agree that the art style is very good with this one.
I'm excited to talk about these.
Excellent, excellent.
I have my little notes here.
Oh, very nice.
I don't know if you can see that.
What did you think about Lost Mechanicum?
I found this a really interesting piece. In terms of storytelling, it had this really interesting slow beat that hinted at these kind of darker dystopian worlds. That kind of brown wash that's throughout. It definitely set it as a place that I do not want to live.
Yeah,
This
yeah.
is not, like, I'm not sure politically what's going on. I just couldn't figure out the logic of these people on the train.
Yeah.
Are they refugees? Were they off the train? Were the people who lived in this woods? Why haven't they set up a town if this is the case? Where's the signs of habitation? Or if they've gotten off the train and they've got this anxiety, like this palpable anxiety, are they afraid of something outside the train, but it never, their backs are toward the woods and they're facing toward the train? So I think world building wise for me, it didn't quite tick the box there because I couldn't quite figure it out. I liked the tone a lot. I really felt anxious watching it. Sound design wise, my background is more in sound than it is animation, so I'm very critical of sound design.
Right.
And this worked well to establish itself, but there's these hard cuts here and there in between things. I wasn't really interested in the story of the character, it was more the story of the world. I'm curious what you thought of it.
I liked it. I liked those kind of rustic tones that came across. Some of the finer details of the characters. I thought it was ambitious as well, merging the 2D with 3D animation, having to have set foot in both of those mediums.
So it's sound design, actually, funny enough, that I gave the highest to here. And I think most of that is because he knew what to focus on when it came to the sound in each shot. Especially the one scene that clings to me is that person breathing and grasping their cloak and feeling the breath, and you can hear the rest of the sound fade away a bit. So I think for me, that's the highest that I gave it. There's definitely rough edges that could be, sharp edges that could be softened a bit.
Yeah, like almost sanded down.
Exactly, yeah, sand it down if it gave more time to it. But I can tell that they spent time with the sound design, which I really appreciate.
Nice. next on the list we have aminamlou. And this entry was called Bad Morning. It starts with this guy with his morning routine. It's early. You can tell it's early in the morning because the sun is just rising.
Right,
he depicted that really well. And then he gets into his car and it's just, he's thrown into this nightmare scenario because he hears a cat scream as he pulls out. And from there it goes quite abstract.
Yeah, I really liked that you knew it was early morning just based off the lighting alone.
Yeah.
That hit me immediately, and it just threw me back to when I was working in the office at a job that I didn't like, and it's just that grogginess, and I could feel the mundaneness of the routine. I actually really like the story of this one because I think essentially it might be a story of gratitude. Okay, you think you have a bad morning. That cat could have had the worst morning of its entire life.
Whoa.
I think that's what the story was trying to hit at.
I really like that. Now I like the story even more.
So I gave it a standout in animation, art, and story.
So a very strong all-round entry then from you. Got to give it strong across 3 different categories. I actually chose, and this might be because I overlooked some of the story elements like you've said, but I thought the animation and the art style especially, and like you said, just knowing that it's really early morning, just from these subtleties with the light, with the environment, that for me really impressed me. So I gave it a standout in the art style.
Yes.
Internal feelings represented with very strong visual imagery. When the scene starts to turn red, very simple color shift, but that color shift completely reflects the mood of this idea of, oh my God, violence, this, what have I done? Guilt. So associating an emotion an emotional state with a color as well.
When you draw attention to the cat that in his head that has been hit, and like you've got that shaky camera kind of trying to focus in, and also the pull of moments out, that kind of pull of silence in between those like jarring moments. Those moments are really well chosen because it feels totally disconnected from the still static shots that you have lined up one after the other. Like they pop, but you feel the palpable anxiety of that. I really did like the art style. I was drawn to the animation. To be honest, it was really good control of that character as it moved. I remember that specifically. I think he controlled the movement of the character quite well. If we talk about sound design again, it was a bit sparse at times. This is very critical. But I think it did a good job at serving the story. There are audio pops, which is a symptom of not fading tracks at the start and at the end. You really do need to fade them off because otherwise you hear this little as the sound is starting. It's very subtle.
Yeah, I've been eliminating a lot of them for this video.
Yeah, tedious is right. That's just you're just not used to it then. You don't know that's something you have to do, which is fine. I really like the story of it. It's just a moment of a man waking up thinking he's killed his cat.
Or a cat, yeah.
He's just
or
on autopilot. A cat. Yeah, it didn't end in the existential crisis that I was expecting it to. I was like, oh, okay. And it definitely entertained me. I gave it animation and story.
Nice. Animanlou, we're all really impressed with that. Well done. Thank you so much for entering that animation. We really appreciate that. Shortcut, and this is by Animator.
What I really loved about this was I liked the art style, actually. I liked that from a distance there's far less detail, and then the closer you get, they're revealing more detail. I really liked that. I also really liked the design difference between the kind of tribes that is coming up against. There's a palpable sense of world building there in just two details. They're wearing the kind of Inuit woolen robes. This other character is wearing a mask. Just that contrast, beautiful contrast, study designed, I think, is enough for me to think, what else is going on in this world? Now, I'm never a big fan of, let's take a shortcut on ice. Oh no, something's gone wrong, storytelling. But the weight of that mammoth, I felt it when they went in close and the footsteps.
Yeah.
I could feel that, and I really liked that. That was a great study of weight. But it's not held throughout, because when it cracks and goes into the ice, I was like, did the mammoth go in the ice there? It just the sound design fell apart there. It didn't quite capture the weight of that moment. And I don't know if that's a limitation someone might have trying to find these sound effects. Do you know what I mean? Or time or something. You have to be creative creating it, just as creative as you are in animating and telling a story. Like, it's a lot of work, sound. To get it right is really difficult. There's one shot in it where the two characters, the one with the spear and the guy that they're fighting, but then there's a cut where he drops down in front of the camera. It's the exact same character again. I found that really interesting visual storytelling, but it was like this interesting transition. I'd never seen that before. That's my thoughts on that film.
Yeah, I gave this one the standout in art, so I think I felt the same way that you did about the art style being very sophisticated.
It's funny, my standout here is entertainment. I was thoroughly entertained by it. I've classed entertainment as something that grabs my attention and holds me, and this totally did.
Gilded Guy, what did you think of this film, Shortcut?
Well, my first impression is I felt very bad for the mammoth, because it immediately sank into the ice, and I felt that the anatomy and the rendering of the characters was very grounded. I was pretty pulled in by the scenario, like the conflict. But towards the end, I was kind of wishing for more. I was caught off guard by the ending, but appreciate the technique and the animation.
I would also say I felt really pulled in by it. Very strong start to it with the mammoth in this helpless situation. Also some interesting world building going on with these unconventional kind of family units, giving it that fantasy element. It could be a case of a bit too much ambition for the short film category when there's not enough time to wrap it all up in a conclusion. I felt that maybe if the characters were kept to those three characters, and they had to just figure out how to get the mammoth out of that situation, that might have been enough for a story in the short film. But I've got to commend Animator for really striving to make this a really big story. And I'm wondering if maybe it had to be cut short just for the deadline.
Yeah, we could only speculate what happened during the production, but each character that you add to the animation just multiplies the effort. I appreciated that the characters were still rendered.
Yeah, I'm always impressed seeing something like a mammoth when it's drawn frame by frame. The tusks can be difficult to foreshorten and stuff, and it was handled very well.
Yeah.
I remember it because this is the one I didn't have access to until the end.
Ah,
This is
okay,
the
right.
last one that I saw, which is actually good as well because I absolutely adored it. And I'm so glad I didn't get access to the end because for me, this set a very high standard in my head as to animation, definitely. It's just so well timed and beautifully studied. I really think so. For me, I thought that was so beautiful. Everything just feels correct. I didn't question anything. I wasn't made aware of it in a kind of, in that kind of way. I was just like, oh, these people are moving and it feels right. Felt the motion, the weight, the speed, the action, it's all there. It's just ready to go. And the music is really great as well. What I will say, the reaction and the timing to the music felt amazing. It's not just cutting to the beat. Oftentimes it's not actually. But it felt right to make the decisions it was making. And I even felt that the story, abstract as it was, is pretty strong. This kind of two opposing forces of oneness that's visualized so beautifully in the art style. It's clearly made green versus pink or purple. You've got the feminine energy, the masculine energy, and it's just these opposing forces that are one. And I just thought, I was astounded by the art style, and I found it so beautiful to watch. I really love this one.
And I think also along the lines of what you were saying, Heavenly Bodies is quite a good title to just encapsulate that. I think it's fair to give a high score in sound when the pairing of music and visuals just goes well. If they complement each other, is there really a need for sound effects? Not necessarily.
Yeah, I totally agree. It did what it needed to do. What did you score this the highest?
My standout for this was, I believe it was the animation, just because it's a visual splendor.
I've tried to set a standard for every film has 100, not every film, but every score in here has 100 somewhere. And I felt that this is my 100 for animation. Really and truly.
Okay, yeah. You gave it to this one. 2D, 3D, a little bit in between. Can't always tell.
Yeah, I would say that the art style was really remarkable. I saw that it had a strobe warning attached to it.
Yes,
and I was like, oh, this could be dangerous or this could be really great. And I thought it was really great. It got pretty dang trippy at times, which I'm always a fan of. That kind of stuff you don't see in real life. That's the only stuff you could see in the artist's head.
Right.
So I'm always a fan of seeing stuff straight from the imagination. They synced it with the music very well. Like the music blended with the animation and visual art style really well. Perhaps the story could be more fleshed out. It seemed like more of a demonstration of the animator's skill, and they certainly showed it.
Yeah, if it was a music video contest, it might be perfect for that. I like a lot of what you said about this is one that can only be done with animation.
I gave it a standout in art.
Same here.
Actually, yeah, 9 to 5. Yeah.
Heavenly Bodies, really good. We like it.
I only just topped out. Thank you.
I be getting high to take away the pain, yeah. That shorty want me, but I'm stuck up in my ways, yeah. These niggas clapping up my name, it's getting lame, yeah. Talk shit about me, cast some hollows to your brain, yeah. I be different to these other niggas, don't pay me to no other.
Look, I
So this one's called No Escape, and it's by RaveFrame Animations.
I thought it was very original. I really loved the vibe straight off the bat, very immediately, because I felt that in this sense, it felt authentic to the voice of the storyteller to
Yeah.
some degree, in the positioning of the story and the positioning of the real life connection. Now, I don't know anything about this person, but that's how it came across to me. It felt authentic in someone's voice. And it gives that feeling that you're trying to escape. It gives that's in every sense of
Right.
it. And even from the title No Escape, I know it's predestined that something is going to happen. I just know it. But the environment, the way it's cultivated, it was so well established. I really like the art style, the heavy lines. You've got that kind of chromatic aberration that's occurring.
Yep.
And it's referencing those comic book styles. But when you get down to the character design, that was really interesting. Like, you don't see his eyes.
Yeah.
You don't see his eyes really at all. I think it hinted really nicely at a story being told. It didn't say more than it needed to say at any stage. It's a screenshot of him and his daughter, or the kind of lock screen. And this is a character who's definitely trying to escape something. He's not passive in any way. Like, I would say, I think the storytelling was very subtly done. I think it was very well done. And obviously it has this big twist at the end of this, like, this meteoric explosion coming in, and this reveal of, or hinted reveal of, some extraterrestrial force, some kind of just something outside of the kind of life that this guy is leading. It's not the mundane life anymore. You're introduced to this supernatural element, but it doesn't give us what it is. We just focus, which I love, the terror in his eye of knowing that he cannot get out of this, no matter what he's running from. I think that whoever did the sound design on this did an incredible job. You can feel the weight of him grabbing the glass, things like this. I feel the weight of the bus being crushed.
My favorite moment is like him having to get out of the bus once it has been toppled. Yeah.
Incredible study of reality. But I thought this was so strong. I really loved it.
Great. Yeah, quite original, quite fresh compared to some of the other stories and some of the other characters and environments that we're getting with this. So I thought there were aspects of this that were very original. Yeah.
I've given it originality as well. Yeah, and I think that's just because of the authentic voice.
I like that phrase you used, authentic voice. I feel the same way. I think that's a good way of summing that up.
I would say that this one really sucked me into, like, from the start. I was just like, oh, okay, I'm following along. I'm with the main character. That look that the bus driver gives him, just like the small little acting moments there, got me really invested straight from the start. Because I recall just being on the bus late at night, and that vibe was captured.
Yeah.
Like, 1-to-1. Maybe perhaps similar to Shortcut, I was left with a lot of questions by the end of it.
Yeah.
So
it's almost like a day in the life video or a night in the life. It's a world that's not often portrayed in animation. To see it in animation, it's interesting how it carries across.
I'd say this one kind of surprised me with just depicting the real world pretty dang accurately, because I think we have a fair bit of like fantasy and like more cartoony entries. So this one was a breath of fresh air from the get-go.
Which category did you give the highest?
The art and the sound, which both contribute to painting that picture of a rainy bus ride at night.
I gave the standout to originality. Because of the setting, him speaking with a London accent, I was like, oh, well, that's not something I hear every day. Like you described, a breath of fresh air.
Why didn't you answer my calls? I was waiting for you. You just left me there. Why did you leave me there? You left me all alone. I was waiting for you. Still waiting for you. I'm still waiting for you. Come with me.
How could I forget this one?
Yeah, I think because I took a peek at your scores and I saw that this one made an impression on you.
Yes, this is one of the top entries for me. My review starts with, that was very unpleasant, but I wrote that with a smile on my face. I gotta say, that was really compelling of an animation. I like the art style, but the standout for me was definitely the sound, which I know is super important for horror.
So important. The sound almost carries the horror experience, especially in a horror like this. And I always commend a horror like this, which it doesn't try to make you jump. It can frighten you, it can scare you, it can unnerve you without doing the cheap horror tricks of the piano chords.
The jump scare.
Yeah. In fact, sometimes the lack of sound, like when he speaks and nothing comes out.
You can relate to that if you've ever had sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
That feeling that you don't have control over your body. So him like just gasping but nothing coming out, that was really accurate.
Yeah.
So I thought this was a great short.
So your standout was sound. I also gave it standout in sound. I thought the sound was really good, but strong all-round entry. I think we can all agree.
Yes. By the way, the 3D look with the slight, I think there might have been some chromatic aberration thrown in there. I thought it was just awesome.
What do you think about sleep paralysis?
This is CG. Again, the homage is very clear. The homage is very clear in the kind of halftone dotting and the chromatic aberration as well. I think the strength of this film is trying to get a composite like that. It was very tastefully done. The texturing and the compositing held itself really well. In terms of sound design, essentially in a story like this, it's really essential to get the point across, especially as that demon or the kind of Nosferatu creatures coming through the door. And I think in this case, it didn't necessarily feel like it was polished all the way through. It felt like an afterthought, except for things like the clock ticking was really excellently done. And the gunshot that anchored the story, oh my God, I was like, oh Jesus, that got me as well. And the addition of the daughter at the door, because I thought it might be just an encounter between him and this sleep paralysis demon, but it grounded it personally. I love the art style in that sense. I thought it was well studied. The animation, it's CG. What can we say? It's
what can you say?
Yeah.
The figure just standing out was so bold, and then the yellow eye opening. I was freaked out by that because I was thinking to myself, what is this thing gonna do next? And it just standing there was very unnerving. And that is the sleep paralysis experience. It was captured very well. So I like.
Have you had sleep paralysis?
Yeah, I've had mild sleep paralysis, not as vivid as that, but sure, I was hallucinating. I've hallucinated on sleep paralysis before. Yeah.
Wow. I've never experienced it, so I've no touchstone, no point of reference here. But I totally agree with what you say. I love the stillness of the creature. It seemed like a coiled spring. You weren't quite sure what was going to happen next. Pretty sure I gave this the highest in art. And close by, then entertainment as well. They're my two highest there.
Running right back to the old me. No, you wanna say that you know me. You don't know me, you don't know me. Now you think you know. Running right back to the old me. No, you wanna say that you know me. You don't know me, you don't know me. Now you think you know. Running right back to the old me. No, you wanna say that you know me. You don't know me, you don't know me. Now you think you know. Running right back to the old me. No, you wanna say that you know me. You don't know me, you don't know me. Now you think you know. Don't wanna look back. No, I won't go back. Cause I can't let you back in. Don't wanna look back. No, I won't go back. Cause I can't let you back in. Don't wanna look back.
So this one is by Gabicon, and it's called Run It Back.
My God, it just worked, really. I love the energy. I actually also love the world setting, and I love the characterization of these little kind of pudgy yellow balls, whatever they are. And it's so effective. You just start to put your own emotions on it. They don't have faces.
And I describe them as lava lamp balls, but with personality.
With personality, yeah. And it's so satisfying. I thought the cutting was very effective. The pace dictated was hugely entertaining. I think I watched this multiple times.
I did,
The first time. I watched it so many times, like even before I moved on to the next one. I watched it again and again. I was so entertained. It's not just entertaining. Like there's that great scene where she sinks into the bathtub again. You've got this kind of deeper understanding of the character. Seeing those little lava lamps, they become quite like lava lamps then. They've got this glow. So I think artistically it was very well thought through. I love the animation. I thought it was so well captured. I thought the pacing was so well done. It made me smile from ear to ear when I watched it.
Interesting you bring up the bathtub scene. I think perhaps it shows two different things. At her low point, I suppose, she's retreating. She's retreating into the bathtub. She's sinking into this just warm nothingness. The bathtub becomes a void where it's not good, but it's not bad. It's just nothing. And the film ends by saying, no, don't do that. Go out there, get out there where it's uncomfortable, but it's alive and it's fun, and that's real living. You're risking things. And you can see the character at the end finally smiles. Those little magic balls just gave her the push that she needed.
You're totally right. It is, don't just stay here. Get out there and be uncomfortable and see how happy it makes you feel. It's a great message. This got my entertainment 100.
Insane replay value on this one. It's so easy to just watch again.
Yeah, let's just watch it again. Let's watch it now.
Running right back to the old me.
But it goes to show, and I'm sure you've experienced this, Howard, when you listen to music or a song, oftentimes a story will emerge in your head. And this is a great success story of getting that story out of your head onto a page and creating a piece of art with that. Art informs art in this sense. But my God, am I glad that they made something like this.
I thought the story was very serviceable to
Yeah.
what it was trying to accomplish, and I just found it was just delightful to watch.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I wasn't doing too much judging. I was just like enjoying.
Yeah, it's enjoying. I feel the same. Like the fact that anyone who sees it is going to be really impressed that this was largely done by one individual.
I wouldn't doubt if it was like a professional, if this was like the official music video for that song.
Yeah,
and
it
this
should
was like
be, I
done by
think,
a
yeah.
studio.
It also was expressive. It had a great message at a good time as well. Maybe in response to the COVID situation we've all been in. I think this is a good time for this kind of themed story to come out.
Yeah, I like that interpretation. I didn't catch upon that the first time watching. I guess I was just enjoying the visuals and just the craziness going on, which is why I gave it a top score in entertainment. Good job, Gabby.
Yeah, well done. Really good. by H4, and this one's called How to Survive a Flood.
I thought it was also very original in its storytelling style, because it was like step 1, step 2, step 3. I would say that the twist at the end definitely caught me off guard, and it made me immediately want to rewatch it and see, like, where did I miss things? Oh, that's how it ties back to that end message. I almost felt bad in thinking that it was just like a comedic animation.
Same here.
And then I just get hit with this heart-wrenching underlying core message.
Yeah.
So I almost felt bad kind of there. But I would say that it was very impactful because of that.
I also think that's really impressive, to be able to make someone go from really happy to a lot more somber and melancholy within a very short runtime. That is taking you on an emotional journey.
Yeah, that's a mark of really good art, in which, I was in this one place, and now you've taken me over here. That's not easy to do.
Also had some great hallmarks of really good craft in the way that the animation worked and the designs. The main character, the father, just had a great sort of look to him. Interesting proportions. The robot had some lovely flares of animation in when he pulls out the cable and things, and that lovely movement of that as well. So
yeah, I would say I enjoyed the story the most about this one because of that rug pull moment.
I think I also gave it a very high in story as well.
I remember this one immediately. I think this, I shouldn't say favorites, but this...
you can have a favorite.
Yeah, I know I can, but I'm not going to admit to it. I think the standard, and especially in the last few, and this one as well, oh my God. This was so simple and excellent. I knew the flooding was a metaphor, but I couldn't quite figure it out. When they beautifully handed it to me at the end, I was just like, okay, I'm so happy, I'm so satisfied. And this is a great rendition of feeling disconnected, the disconnection you may feel during a loss or grief, and how it overwhelms people. Even the animation itself felt carefully crafted as to, okay, he's brushing his teeth, with the bit where the robot pulls the string out, and you've got that beautiful zip line. Even the sound effects, everything. I just thoroughly thought that this was an incredibly well-crafted story, and well visualized as well.
It's a step-by-step guide to a very slow process that involves a lot of struggling and a lot of suffering. It has to involve suffering if you care about the person you lost.
Also, on top of that, it shows how necessary yet difficult simple daily tasks become. And the flood of like how difficult it is to walk just to go and brush your teeth. But you're still thinking about dinner for your son, or you're thinking about this, but how difficult it is to just move around. Everything feels so much more weighted and disconnected. And I was just like, wow, this is so good. And I'm looking at my story score here, which is what I gave it the highest in. I gave it quite high scores across the board here. But this story for me, I was just like, wow, this was so good. It did not let me down.
I gave it the highest in story as well.
Mutated horde eliminated. Minimal damage on sentries detected. Immediate repair is advised. We thank you for your endless service toward the preservation of the human race, for the salvation of our lost country, for all mankind.
This artist goes by the name of Inside an Owl's Mind. I'm not sure if that's an error on how he named his entry and whatnot, but I'm running with it now. The entry itself is called Cannon Fodder. This was quite a long entry. In fact, it was almost as long as you can get in this contest. It was pretty
almost
long.
10 minutes.
Yeah, it was a bit of an epic. So what was your first impression when you watched this?
There was a very squarish art style, I'd say, which you don't see because I just was drawn by the big approaching cloud, and it was like just like these squares. And then I noticed that the characters also had a very squarish design, which tied into that somewhat of a twist at the end, or towards the middle, where it's revealed that they are robots defending this fort. I would say some of the scenes might have lingered a tad bit long, but maybe that's just the effect that the creator was going for.
Sometimes that pacing helped to give it that epic scale. By comparison, when you're watching these in collection, it might feel a bit slow.
True.
Yeah.
This seemed to be primarily focused on like the warfare, like the battle going on. And I really enjoyed the two other robots approaching at the end, congratulating these two. Hey, you've served your you've served your community well.
Yeah.
You can now rest. And I was like, yes, they did a good job. I felt like that was satisfying.
And I love the delivery of that address, like the way it was written, the speech, the sort of noble speech, and the voice. I gave the standout in story,
originality, and art.
I'm interested to hear your opinion on this one for Cannon Fodder.
I'll tell you what my first thought when I saw this is, oh my god, this is 9 minutes long. That was my first thought.
Yeah, we all looked at the runtime and were like, oh dear, it's a long one.
What I knew I was going to be in for is the editing will not be succinct. There's about a minute and a half that could probably be easily cut out of this without detracting from any element of this movie at all. But that aside, the story was actually entertaining to me. It was very entertaining. There were some design elements I did enjoy. Things like when the mutant horde is closing in from a distance and you've got those square clouds. I really liked that. Even these kind of Lego robot men, whatever was happening there with their design. And the mutant horde, when you first see them and they're these kind of scribbly lines.
Yeah.
I really love that as well. I wish they'd kept to that. I do wish that they kept to that because I found it so much more menacing. I actually found it so tastefully done. Palette choices, the sketchy lines. I was really immersed in it. And the ending caught me off guard. it really caught me off guard.
I love the ending of this one. I think it's fantastic. That one lonely outpost, but at the end, I'm like, it's so appealing. There's something really, I really like about that.
They added up to make something really wonderful, I think. And again, our favorite friend in the background did a lot of heavy lifting, tastefully so, sound design. I scored this very high in sound design.
Right.
Because this could easily have fallen apart without the sound beats needing to be what they were. Even though I wasn't expecting to enjoy this, I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So badly.
It's a bit of a mind-bending thing of like, how long have they been there? How long are they going to remain there? And do they mind? Because they're robots. Does it bother them at all? Probably not, because ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Almost like a cyclical scenario, a cyclical structure where it ends where it begins. Yes, you could cut this stuff, some of it. You could cut it down. Short film, you're barely fitting the definition when you've got a 9-minute or like 10-minute short film. But I do find that where there is room to breathe, I see value in breathing room, breathing space, especially if it's like the guards are there and all they can do is wait for this horde to reach them. Don't speed it up. Don't press fast forward, because that is tension. Those moments when they're prolonged, they give it gravity.
The sound between a clap, that space, that pull, that silence. And I agree, it's take as much time as you want for the horde to get in there. You could elongate some parts, cut the other, and still have the same runtime, and it would be just as effective, if not more. I gave it high in story and sound. That they're my two big boys there.
Story for me. I love the story.
Yeah.
Great.
t'es là, ça va? Qu'est-ce que tu fais par terre? Oh les filles, je suis tellement contente de vous voir. Oula, ça va pas fort toi. Mais arrête de l'embêter. tout nous raconter. Mais en plus, si Brandon te voit comme ça... Oh, mais c'est vrai, il est à la soirée. Mais surtout, ne panique pas, d'accord? Tu viens?
This is called ESCAPADE. That's the entry name. Yeah. And it's by Luis Pepito Zubrzycki.
I thought that the setting was pretty original. It seemed like this was based off of perhaps a real life experience that the creator might have gone through. It's something that one can relate to, is like being lost in the woods and maybe trying to make it to a social event. Everyone's waiting for you. I appreciated that relatability and the accurate depiction of that.
And I was impressed that it didn't go down the horror route, which was like she gets abducted and she gets killed, and it also didn't go down the route of someone saving her in the nick of time. She was thinking of doing it, and then she was like, actually, I can get myself out of this. I thought that was really cool. I thought it was very self-empowering.
Yeah, that's why I suspect this might have been based off of a real life experience.
Right.
Because it's always, you never know how brave you are in the moment.
I gave this the standout in art, actually, because of the mixed medium approach.
I think what helped blend it was the compositing work involved, mixing the 2D and... Are these real sets, or is this just, you think, 3D?
I don't know. I'm inclined to think they're
hard to
real.
tell.
I really enjoyed the art, and I really enjoyed the animation as well. I didn't understand the story. I didn't quite get what this could be. It didn't click to me in a way of, for me, if there's not enough connective tissue start to end. I really didn't understand what was happening in this girl's life, or maybe that's just the way she is. Having said that, I thought the mix of styles was very tasteful. There was a good mix of, there's some 3D elements, some hand-drawn elements, potentially even photographic sets. I couldn't quite get that, but I liked it. And I thought that was really beautiful. I thought the animation was very well studied. I was cheering for it the whole way through. But I didn't, at any stage for me, I didn't get an indicator as to what a potential story could be in this. And maybe I'm reading it too literal. It just didn't match anything for me.
I thought it was about a girl finding her independence at an age where a particular age is a turning point. She's going to a party and she's getting a call from her mum. She probably always relied on her mum for help for everything up until that point. And then there's this part of her that says, no, this time I'm going to get myself out of this difficult situation. And that's that stage of life, which going from dependent on your parents to independent. And I thought it was just about that. I gave it a high score in art because I could acknowledge that they're trying something quite ambitious with the mixed medium.
I gave it high in art as well. Yeah.
Nice. Drifting Away, and it's by Mariam Gaber.
Something we all can relate to here at Animator Guild, a creative with art block, basically. I enjoyed the setting. It's like very cozy. And I think the art style really supports that kind of illustrative art children's book almost style there. It just offers a simple solution to a fairly relatable problem. A solution I always fall back to is just listening to music. To keep yourself motivated.
I loved the ambience of this one. We open on a stormy night with rain outside, struggling artists at the desk, focused on one character and their inner struggle, which I think is always a smart move. If you can make it with just one character, that's fantastic. All those in-betweens or whatever, you only have to do it for one character. It's a smart move. I really like that last shot. I'm glad they ended on that shot with the whales circling the character. I thought that was visionary.
That was probably like the standout scene, and then they decided to just end on that standout scene. Just cut to black.
Yep.
Just imply that the protagonist is now in flow.
Yeah.
And as a viewer, I was in flow. That's where we wanted to be.
I'm guessing that the story that the character was coming up with involved whales in some kind of way, and they got that from the music.
Yeah, the music. I believe it was like a classical piece.
It was a classical piece.
I thought it was very fitting.
It plays a fundamental part in the story, and the sound stood out to me.
I agree. The music and sound was the standout for me, and I would say that it just blended perfectly to create that like quaint, cozy atmosphere.
I remember what really jumps out to me when I remember this movie was just that simple thing of them click-clacking away in the typewriter, but it's the scribbly line of whatever they're writing. It doesn't matter what they're writing. And I think when they switched into the room, it landed in this kind of beautiful pace that really enveloped me. And I thought it was a really good example of how sound design and music can transport your mood. Totally give you something to cling on to, like you're saying, writer's block. It gives you something else. And I was really entertained by it. I could feel the clear sense of frustration in one room and the sense of calm in the other one. And I thought tonally, I really enjoyed that.
Yeah. What was your standout score, would you say?
I think my standout are close in entertainment and originality.
Euthymic Mania. I think I googled the words Euthymic Mania later to see if it meant anything.
Oh, you did?
But I can't remember. I can't remember what the results were. But I remember I was like, I have no idea what that means. This one was just like fight scene, straight in. Let's go all the way. Anime fight scene. I had to acknowledge the quality of this one. It's very high quality.
Technical skill.
A lot of technical skill involved with this one. Some really cool compositing as well. We're seeing that kind of compositing in anime, but that's in the anime industry that we normally see it, where we've got big workforces of people working on it to do those brush strokes or to composite all of those effects. And this is one individual doing it.
Yeah, wearing multiple hats and achieving that level of visual quality. Take a screenshot of it. It's wow. That's like one person.
Exactly.
Yeah, well, as such, since it seems like it was mainly just a fight scene, though I did notice some story between the characters, the small facial expressions they gave each other. It implied that there was some history going on.
Yeah.
I wonder if this is just like a clip from the creator's bigger series that they plan to do or have already done. But if I were to just judge it based off of like just this short film, I would have to dock it points for story because it seems to be like an out of context fight scene, even though it's very well executed.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So my standout for me is in the animation. That's the score I did. And it depends where you put compositing in this, but I would put compositing maybe with the animation a little bit here. These categories overlap somewhat.
Yeah, I've made compositing maybe more part of the art style, and animation was just pure movement in my mind while judging. Yeah. And I thought that this one had some excellent movement, and this animator knows how to do fight scenes. They've probably done multiple. I wonder if they started with stick fights.
I wonder.
I feel like this is something that you could have made when you were younger. It smelled very much like your work.
It has early Howard Wimshurst written all over it.
No, I know what you mean, but it felt like you earlier on your path. That's what all it just feel. It's very action orientated story, which is good. It's just someone training or two people fighting. I really enjoyed the animation on this. I thought actually what really carried this thing so well through. Okay, well, the animation was beautiful. The sound design carried that even stronger. Like I felt the weight of the punches, and I didn't feel totally immersed in the world, but it felt like a great playground for these two characters. It felt like a beautiful setting for these two, and I thought it was great. It was really consistent design. The idea of two people battling, one person failing, and then finding the strength to continue, while of course it's not original, it's a trope in itself, but it always connects with me. And that's what I love about it. I'll always cheer that beat where someone finds the strength within themselves.
Yeah, that underdog story.
Exactly, yeah. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on it.
I feel much the same way about it as you. Yeah, the quality was very good in the art, the compositing, the animation style. I would guess that this isn't their first animation that they've made, or if it is, then they're off to a tremendous start if it is their first animation. And it knows what it is. It doesn't have it's very anime inspired. I'm sure it's inspired by many very popular shonens. The thing that everything else orbits around is more like dance, expressive, and fighting is like dance because that is the artistry for them. It's a much more aesthetic led thing, but can it score well in story?
And it also depends on what point in the road you're on, what your sensibilities are. But I will say I gave this high on entertainment and in art as well.
Nice.
I thought the art was quite lovely. Yeah, really beautiful.
Great.
The painterly sky and background was really stunning.
Yeah, it opens up on a great image. I gave it the standout in animation. I just thought the characters moved very well.
Yeah.
How did we end up here? Beaten up, bruised, me in chains, and you pointing a gun at me, Tomoya. Your crying face reminds me of a time where it was us against the world. They picked on you because of your hair. Since then, we didn't have anyone. We became family. We stood by each other. You were the little sister of our group that always needed protecting, so I told you the story of the 2 wolves that found a pup that was lost in her way. Since meeting her, they walked through the ashes of danger without any fear because they had trust. One day, they encountered a cougar with no kind intentions in mind. They nearly killed her, and the red wolf was agitated. The 2 other wolves looked at her with kind eyes and promised that they would do everything to protect her from the dangers and shadows of this world.
Don't you remember?
Since you saw that man, everything changed. Bribed you with their perfume words.
Tomoya.
Him. His smirk makes my blood boil.
I told you what happened in 85. How her parents killed your mom. I held her warm hands until her last breath grazed my cheek. How the life in her eyes faded into the abyss. The last few heartbeats grasping to survive. Can't you feel it? Can't you feel the rage, yearning, and aching to get out? Let these emotions bleed into the intricate details of your gun. Be patient as it rushes its way into your fingertips and take a deep breath and squeeze the trigger till you've let everything out in one breath, and I promise you'll feel better. You will feel better. My time is running out. Show me you can take over the family. Show me that you can be our enemy's worst nightmare. The thing that makes them gasp for air in the middle of the night. Be their fear as it swallows them whole. Make your mother proud. And show me, Tomoya. Show me you have purpose.
Oya. Just wanted to say.
I'm interested to hear your opinions on this.
Every fiber of me didn't want to like this from the start.
Interesting.
Every
Okay.
part of me. Yeah, I don't know why, but I was immediately biased against it. I think potentially it might have been the art style mixed with the voiceover, but oh my God, did it win me over step by step.
Whoa.
You know, it totally did. I thought,
Well, it's dramatic. It's very dramatic.
very dramatic, and the pace is relentless. It doesn't give you a second. Yeah, it does not give you a second, but it gives me context of the characters, of the world, and I feel like I understand a lot about it. The stuff with the kids, I think the art style that they drew the children in, I thought was the strangest part, but the rest, it just grasped me and would not let go. It was like, okay, obviously she's going to turn and shoot the guy at the end, but with the demon and angel on each shoulder, this woman is caught in their grasp, and actually the voice acting ended up being silk in my ear. I was just like enjoying it throughout. When she pulls that trigger at the end, I was just like, oh my God,
what has she done?
happened here? Yeah, what has she done?
While it is very modern in its look, anime influences for sure, it also has a bit of a noir vibe to it. It's a criminal underworld, and the characters look very cool. They're wearing white suits.
It's very slick in that sense. Yeah, I feel these characters have this unrelenting arrogance to them, the kind of seedy underbelly. I also feel like this would be an incredibly effective opening to a feature. You know what I mean? Gunshot, title screen, and then you start the story. I think that would be a really interesting opening. The standout for me was the sound. The voice acting is hard. It's not easy to get right. especially just making them sound like they're in the same world is very hard to do. Also, to match that with all the sound effects and everything, it's difficult. But this sung in that area, it didn't jar me at all. It made sense. Everything made sense as to where it should be, and it elevated it slightly. It's a close tie between entertainment and story for me, but sound design is the one that really, that's my strongest pillar of this one.
The sound, especially given your background. I could say the same thing about the art. How dark the background is. It actually reminds me of these kind of like Italian Renaissance paintings where the background is just black, like it's really dark, and then they're like illuminated figures in front.
You're totally right. It is dark. It's like a Caravaggio at times.
A Caravaggio type thing, So I thought that the compositions, great care put into that. So that's where I gave it a high score as well. This one, it feels a bit like a recap almost of a much larger series. We've got some entries in here that allude to larger stories. This one takes the cake as it's racing through these plot points, and a lot of it's told in the past tense, but there is quality, undeniable quality in this one.
I would say that the animator probably fully realized their vision when like animating these scenes, because I see full coloring, layouts, compositing, and like voice acting, and I would say that the writing is just really dense with context and stuff. As a person coming into it, it did feel like a series finale moment. I felt that epic scale and amount of like storylines are all like crossing paths here. But as a first-time viewer, I was lost. I was caught up in the dialogue, who's who, and a lot of unfamiliar names.
The character designs, really cool. Some of the effects animation, the compositions and things like that. There is the makings of a great work of art in this.
I always appreciate when characters are rendered in a very dark and moody setting. I'd say that the very harsh shadows really helped set that serious tone. So I thought it was like very graphic looking.
And speaking of the graphic style and everything, that's why I gave this one the standout in art style.
Same.
Where Bad Wolves Lie, really nice animation. Good job. Hunters, and it's by Ray Raydioactive Tilos. It reminds me of those stories where there's always a bigger fish out there.
I think that was what they were getting at there.
Yeah.
The hunter becomes the hunted.
Yeah.
It was a nice complete story. I like it when there's a setup, middle, and end, and it's all like within the theme of the title. Since it's a story that we might have seen before, I didn't give it too many points in originality. I would say it was just executed as expected.
Yeah.
I like the monster animation as well.
Yeah, that monster, when that monster comes in, it's something to do with the timing and spacing and the design of it. It was really intense. It was a intense piece of animation. Yeah.
I would say it was very punchy.
Yeah.
That really helped, I'd say.
This one packs a punch for sure.
Yeah, I gave it a standout in entertainment and animation. So.
Yeah, animation moved really well, this one. A lot of power behind the way the character and the monster moved.
But this actually was the world presented was really interesting. And when that monster appears, it totally recontextualizes the scene. This hunter is just trying to live his life. But the second that creature appears and you feel the genuine fear in the person's heart.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Truly terrifying.
And like we were saying before, just that moment of stillness where it's watching. He spotted it watching. And you're just like, oh, shit, this is about to go crazy. And I will say that what stood out to me in the art style was definitely the creature. Like you said, it really was frightening to me. Mm-hmm. And I love what they were doing in a world in that dichotomy between people hunting and these creatures that exist. It built a world instantly in my head as to what this kind of place could be. And they didn't need to draw it or anything like that. It's just because it's just a forest in the woods. But it really entertained me. I didn't really feel like there was a moment wasted in that. We will say again, I know I'm always harping on about sound effects. There could have been more careful attention paid to certain sound effects in this. There's ones that were definitely reused multiple times, and that's totally fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But when it's the same sound 3 times in a row,
they can recognize it straight away. Yeah.
It's just something to be really careful of in something like this, because it could easily defeat the work that you've done in setting up this world. Now, thankfully, it didn't quite do that, but my ear peaked to it. But honestly, I was very terrified of this bloody creature.
Yeah. Then this kind of mystique is built around this character. Okay, if this guy had the guts to go up behind this monster and kill it, and had been like hunting this monster all along, what does that say about this hunter guy in the red cloak? He must be an incredible badass. So I'm a big fan of... I'm a really big fan of building characters, building the mystery, or building this character into something that's really impressive.
What did I give this high in? Animation, actually. I did.
Animation for me as well, yeah.
And entertainment. our next entry, The Bee and the Butterfly. When I first saw the title card for this, it set a very strong aesthetic opening that the rest of the short didn't really match. I was just like, okay. It was totally two different art styles. But it starts with this incredibly different, nuanced black and white shapes floating in space. I remember that very distinctly. And the falling apart and fading away, these little tufts that are coming off it. And then it turns into this thick-lined, it felt almost vector-based, even though I know it's totally hand-drawn. But animation in this is really, truly superb.
It brought me back to the days of Flash animations.
Yeah.
Stick figure animation in the way they actually move, though, with that simple design. Really elegant movements in this.
Every movement, every action, twisting of bodies, the posing, the holding of moments. Yeah, it was so well done. I felt the music was a bit overpowering.
It felt like a custom piece. Do you think it was recorded for this animation?
It does feel like that, doesn't it? Because it's almost like a silent film in that sense. It feels like the music of the silent film eras, where it definitely feels custom to that. But having said that, it sets up this interesting story of these two characters. Even in all that animation, they've gotten across this beautiful link that these two have, this history,
like trust as well. It's a building up of this trust between these two characters, which even if you're seeing the characters from very far away, the body language and the stage directions is enough to tell quite a moving story.
So easily readable. I think I can see it here. The highest here for me is the animation. It's almost felt like a love story to me.
Yeah.
In how it was presented and packaged, and just how they show, like you said, the trust and the love that they have through their actions.
In our contest, we say to the animators, come up with original characters. You can be influenced by characters that you see in games or other media, but if it's your characters, this is your film. We want you to have that ownership over your film, which is why we encourage that.
And it improves it too.
It improves it. I don't know some of those influences because I haven't played those games, but it brought me back to stick figure animations as well.
The title card really caught my eye.
Yeah, the title card.
And the end sequence. I would say I did recognize like the influence from the video game that we were mentioning, but I quickly was just following along with the combat scenario. Sometimes when you see fight scenes, it's just like two characters. Oh, which one's stronger? It feels like just like an arm wrestling fight.
Yeah.
Oh, I hit you harder. There's no tactics, but I liked how in here there was like some team moments, and that's what helped them like defeat the enemy.
Yeah.
So I would say that was executed quite well.
I thought it was. That to me is where the message was, because it's cool seeing dynamic choreography, and the choreography was dynamic, but the fact that the choreography itself contained the story within it, which is that two is better than one. Two against one, the two that can collaborate will succeed. Just satisfying. When the character draws that sword and cuts that rope, the timing and spacing just make it gorgeous. It's really nice to savor those moments.
Yeah, well done use of like slow motion, and I would say that the animation was nice and fluid and very clear what was going on.
Yeah, stood out with animation for me.
Same.
We tend to find that when you have this minimalist design, it allows you more freedom a lot of the time with the animation.
That's a good point.
So sometimes you have one that goes stronger on the animation, sometimes you have one that goes stronger on the art style. But yeah, really nice. The Bee and the Butterfly.
My brother has been very sick for the past 6 days, and it's only getting worse.
If this keeps going, I'm going to die. You have to bring me a doctor.
But it's too expensive. Wait, I have an idea. In the village at north, there's a wise man who's been creating a revolutionary invention. They're called the 10 magic crystals, and they can cure any disease.
Wait, how do you expect to get them?
Don't worry about it. I'll find a way to get them. I promise. I'll cure you no matter what.
Okay, I trust you.
At last, I finally finished creating the new cure. Adam, the creation of the 10 crystal is completed. With them, I'll finally be able to cure your disease and you'll be able to live normally again.
Seriously? Thank you so much, Grandpa.
Anything for my grandson. Wait here while I go get them. My child, your son won't suffer the same fate as you, I promise. What? The 10 crystal disappeared! They were stolen! You won't get away!
Did I lose him?
Your efforts are futile, so hand over the crystals, boy.
No, never in 100 years.
You asked for it. This is your last chance, boy. Hand them over to me, or else you will regret it!
Never! I need them to save my brother.
You're not the only one who has someone to save! These crystals are for my grandson!
So what? Your grandson can wait since my brother is more important?
How dare you, you foolish child! I'll be taking back what's mine. Next time, you might not get to see another day.
I can't. If I don't do anything, my brother will die.
Even if it is to save someone's life, it doesn't justify causing the death of another. However, I can cure your brother.
Wait, seriously?
Yes, but you have to change your ways from now on.
I promise.
The next one, 10 crystals. Let's have a look.
I love this one. But I don't want to influence what you're going to say, but I love this one.
You know what I really liked about this is the wider yin-yang story. I will say this. To me, it feels very derivative of multiple things I've come across in my life.
Naturally.
Of course. That is just where they are.
Yeah.
And when I was watching it, I was like, God, there's no nuance here. There's no subtlety. The characters
it's not
are
a subtle
exactly.
film. Yeah.
They're laying out exactly what they want. It's so black and white. It literally presents itself that way. It's just like, I'm dying. I'll save you. Okay, I'm also dying. I'll save you. What more do you need to say? But here's where there's magic in this film. The antagonist and the protagonist are given the same thing they need.
Yeah.
That is the basis of incredible storytelling. Give two people the same thing, but only one person can have it. And
it's an unstoppable force versus an immovable object. I actually really like how the old man said something like, "You insolent child," to this boy who's trying to save his brother. But surely, like, the old man would do the same thing given if it was in the other way around.
I really felt that the character forms were really, actually, when it comes to the action, really well studied for turning the people around. And it's clear the influences. It does what it needs to do. You can tell that this is the story that they wanted to tell. Boy, oh boy, did it entertain me. I was so entertained.
Yeah.
From start to end. This thing did not let go of me.
It's captivating.
And you know as well, they used a lot of different music in this.
Right,
to set the tone of each different scene. I want this tone. I want this tone. And it does what it needs to do. It gets the pacing going. I didn't think it was that original. The story didn't do much to me. But apart from that, it was so well studied. It's a good study, I think.
There's a shot where he's just talking and the camera is moving around his head. It went above and beyond. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. What did you score it high in? What was
I scored it very high in entertainment. I just love this animator's energy that he brings to these animations. Yeah, really good.
Yeah, I felt the passion in this one, like 100%. Perhaps maybe even more than any of the other entries. That I could feel like the artist was in the room with me while watching it. I wanted to root for this one a ton. Even despite some of the technical issues, I would say that the heart that went into it was
so
probably
much heart.
the strongest. Yeah, very strong.
With the sound quality clearly not being like industry standard microphones, this was recorded in a bedroom. You can tell from the quality. That is something that hopefully with time this artist will be able to improve on.
Yeah.
But it shows how far above their level they're trying to go with this. It's really ambitious.
Yeah.
So to me, that gives me even more admiration for the fact that this is an epic story.
They certainly didn't play it safe.
They didn't play it safe.
And they finished it.
Yeah. So yeah, I gave this one a standout in entertainment. I was smiling ear to ear from this entry.
I gave it a standout in entertainment.
The 10 crystals, really good. Button Eyes. This is by Miqhell Hubble, also known as Subatomic Studio. This one has this ape that is in black and white, and it's got a very unique look to it. I think you'll agree.
It was quite remarkable. Just the visual style. Very unique look. Just the wavy brush lines and like the shimmering quality of the entire animation. Maybe that reflected what the ape was, how the ape saw the button. It's like it's just like a shimmering jewel to him.
Yeah.
Not entirely sure because of those trippy elements. Might be hard to tell what the exact story is, but I would say that it was like more of an experience, perhaps.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
despite it being really sketchy like this, I felt like I was in safe hands because you can just tell there's a confidence. Even when there's like the fast sketch lines, I think the artist had a very confident drawing style. There's the experience in the artist's hand. And I really liked those little punctuation moments with the bells hitting together.
Oh, the sound. Yes, yeah.
And the sound, a really vivid color that just shows up for a moment. I have seen films that have similar concepts at their core, but in the context of this contest, it is quite a special entry.
Yeah. What you said about the bells, it almost made it like a meditative experience. I was just very relaxed watching it.
Oh,
and
yeah.
it was just like tastefully done. Big props.
I gave the standout in art, and I also gave a very high score to originality for the reasons I stated.
Those two for me.
Oh,
exactly those two,
we're in agreement there.
Button eyes.
Oh, yes, button eyes.
This grabbed my attention immediately. I really loved the command of the form of the hands. Seeing that, I was very impressed. And I was really impressed by how the art styles seemed to speak to a different part of the story. With a creature who doesn't have eyes and is very much existing within the world of sound, you've got these kind of vibrations and sketchy lines occurring across the character consistently. That use of negative space was really phenomenal here because it's a beautiful piece of work. To a degree, there's some abstraction here, but there's an anchor throughout of there's a world and a creature. They're not over-explaining anything. And I was so captivated by it. I really adored the abstract moments. You really loved it. And when they put their button eyes in, and oh, whoa, this is a kind of a strange looking creature. And they're just sitting looking at themselves in the puddle. I was like, oh, damn, that's an amazing ending there. They get up and walk away. I thought it could have been stronger if they just continued to stare at themselves like Narcissus or something.
Oh, yeah, like
really
Narcissus.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But again, that's just what I would have done. But this is just as strong, the moment of looking and then going back into the world. I loved it. I really did think.
I think this one could have a lot of success on a festival circuit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think so. So I gave it a hugely high score in art. That's my big standout here. Art, and everything else is very close behind it.
So well done, Miqhell, Hubble. That was really good. Really cool stuff.
Ezúttal minden a legnagyobb rendben lesz. Éjnek évadján vacsorázni. Kifejezetten egészségtelen. Akkor még szerencse, hogy ez egy randi. És ez most miben is más, mint az előzőek? Most érzem a pillangókat a gyomromban. Az csak az éhség. Ha hiszed, ha nem, van olyan, aki nem a gyomrával gondolkodik. Mondja ezt az a srác, aki egy perce még a nyomvat pillangóiról beszélt. Ezt az előző randiait biztos értékelik, valahol mélyen. És azok vajon kinek a hibái voltak? Mindegyiket te tetted tönkre. Én kérek elnézést, hogy egy percre önmagad voltál. Önmagam. Látod ezt? Még egy pár dózis és örökre eltűnsz a fejemből. Neked már így se kéne lenned. Nélkülem meghalnál odakint. De rendben, cseréljünk. Élhetsz egyedül a saját fejedben. Csak ne gyere ki onnan. Nagyon vicces. Nem tudnál valaki mást fárasztani? Figyelj, értem, hogy ez nálad valamilyen késői hipster fellángolás, feltűnési viszketegség, vagy bánom is én mi, de áruld már el. Miben reménykedsz még? Például hogy a változatosság kedvéért most kettesben hagysz minket. Ja, tényleg, ez így működik. Akkor csak még egy baráti jó tanács. Nem szabad sokat játszani az étellel. Felzaklathatja őket. Ő nem étel. Pont annyira nem, mint a többiek, ugye? Lili, 8-as toronyház, Zoe, árnyas terasz, Dotti, szép szemtető, Eti, édesliget. Hol is vagyunk most? Szokd be! Az összes randit, a résztvevők, a helyszínek, mindet te szervezted meg, és én vagyok a rossz, mert élek a lehetőséggel. Volt be, mind csapatmunka volt. Menj a pokolba! Azok a fránya pillangók, mikre rá nem veszik az embert. Elég! Engedd meg! Örülök, hogy itt vagy.
Örülök, hogy hívtál.
Ó, ha igaz, hogy egyetlen virág felér 1000 szóval, akkor ez itt az én vallomásom.
Köszönöm. Már kezdődik, gyere!
Következő már biztosan igaz szerelem lesz.
Butterflies. What a mature story to tell in such simple visual. The motif of the two different storks and simple things like the visual style of just hair and the eye, the look in the eye.
Yeah, absolutely.
So well studied.
You know what? Even
elegant.
We start with the stork in a well-made suit, a handsome stork walking into an elevator and speaking Russian. Where can you go wrong? I'm going to enjoy this film just with that premise.
And it just kept adding to it. You talked about earlier, like this idea of sometimes it's good to hold back. I felt that you feel the tension in the body language. Everything is so well thought through, how they're moving. And the way that this is positioned is so entertaining. Now, obviously, there's some things that weren't finished before it came along. We've got those rough storyboard moments. But I appreciate that they put them in because they're prioritizing the story. Continuity throughout,
and the story was delivered. The story came across, and this is why I was very reluctant to hold this one back from being shown, despite its clearly unfinished look, because they did make it here with the story. And the story is all intact. It's just that last bit of finish that it doesn't have right now. We have to score it with that in mind. Their next step will be to fill in those outlines. It looks like for the majority of shots as well, the outlines are completed. It's not rough stage animation anymore. It's quite refined lines, and all they need to do is just fill bucket those shots with color.
The voice acting, you know, even though it's in a different language.
I love the voice acting.
Intonations, everything. Oh my God. But I gave it highest equal in animation and entertainment.
All right. I gave it very high in story. But it's one of those ones that very high across the board. I had to take a few hits here and there just because of the fact that it is unfinished. That has to be like a handicap in a final round where it's going up against finished entries. Yeah. But yeah, really strong entry nonetheless. This one, when it came to us, it was unfinished. I've actually talked with the creator with this, and We're going to see if the creator can provide us with a colored version just to show to the audience, because I thought it would be a shame to show it when it's so close to being finished, but the color isn't there.
Yeah.
We're scoring it as if we're scoring the uncolored version that was submitted in the time.
Yeah, that's only fair.
Yeah, and you can tell with the unfinished one, they got so close.
Yeah, this one, I thought the story was really engrossing because there was a genuine back and forth conflict in the protagonist, and that ending was really surprising to me, but also hinted at throughout the entire thing. I was like, duh, of course. I just wish that it was like inked when I first saw it, but I quickly got over the fact that it wasn't complete, and I was just appreciating like the dialogue and the animation, which is super fluid.
Most of the film is set in this one elevator, but there's a lot of different compositions there's a lot of interesting things going on with the reflection and the interaction with himself.
I gave it a lot of high marks, except for the fact of its unfinished state. I'm just glad that they submitted it, even in its unfinished state, because that was still such an enjoyable watch for me. Really surprising.
So well done, Szilvia. Well done. The Ring of Fate. And this is by Tenreal. Well, actually, we start the film with a bunch of subtitles.
Yeah, there was a bit of exposition there. And then followed by a quite intense fight scene.
Yeah.
First of all, I'd say that the color palettes in this one were very interesting
nice
to me. Very dull, but it works.
Yeah.
It's something that I wish to do, is be able to just work with dull colors. Because I always just like to splash all of the bright neon stuff. This one really opened my eyes to different color palettes. I would say perhaps the weakness in that opening text subtitles.
Yeah. The ratio of the text, I feel, it was more text than was needed. That probably comes from the artist having big ideas, big plans for this animation. But a lot of stuff to like about just that moment, that combat sequence in itself, because of how well it was executed with the really slow motion parts.
I would say that there were a lot of quick moments, like quick actions depicted in that cutscene. And I thought that was entertaining. I would say that perhaps it was the pacing, just combined with the text, and also maybe some of the combat pacing threw me off a bit. But I still appreciate that.
Ring of Fate. Something that I love about this that I've never seen before is that one element of that Ring of Fate. The circle that's created around the battlefield.
Circle comes around and it closes around them and then just shrinks down. Yeah.
Shrinking. I've never seen that before, because you cannot escape. No matter who wins, ultimately you both win and you both lose. The second that line was created, they're trapped in that circle. They can't escape. And what a incredible concept to give. Now, obviously, it's revealed later that it's his son or grandson, and he's sad that he had to kill him, but then he dies. They both die in each other's arms. But I thought to myself, that caught me totally by surprise. And something that could have been just a fight. We've talked about a fight before. It sets a time limit as well for everything. There's
the tension.
Inevitability. Yeah, there's a tension, inevitability, but also a sadness that's so sophisticated.
Potentially that was alluded to by the droplet at the start that sends out that ripple, and that's more circular imagery. But I love how this one starts really sparse and really simple with this perfectly symmetrical composition of this old man with the beard stepping down very gently onto his sword. It's quite good, quite sophisticated in as fight scenes go. This one really does make efforts to feel like it's giving you more than just the choreography. The choreography was very fun. It was playful in a way. Things happen in that choreography to where you aren't just thinking, okay, now they're hitting each other. They're still hitting each other. Like, you're not thinking that. You're thinking they have intentions. They are trying to outwit each other.
The kind of Z-axis when he goes in under the water and everything like that as well.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so creative, very sophisticated, like you said. I think I gave this potentially my highest in originality.
Yeah, so I thought the sound was really nice, actually. They're setting an atmosphere, this serene atmosphere. This white-bearded man really casts a great aura about him, an aura of mastery. I think that's reinforced by the sound effects. You know that something special is about to take place with those long echoing sounds in this big cavernous space. Strong entry all around. That's why it's here in the finals.
Yeah. Please tell me that I can't, that I won't, that I'll fail, that I'll never make it out, yeah. Please tell me all the bad, never good, fill my head full of every single doubt, yeah. Please say any negative thoughts, I pop off when I hear people say I cannot. I get off to the thought of proving everyone wrong, I won't stop to the top, so you better back off and get lost. I'ma stay loud, stay proud, never running out, never heading south. I'll be spreading out, call it word of mouth, can't put me down, I'll be getting loud. You can have it douse, not what I'm about, have your cloud, it be raining now, I keep making sound, go another round, I'm legend bound, can't stop me now.
Hi.
Take it away. I feel nauseous, believe me. Never had a lot of shit come easy. Had to work hard, struggle just to be me. Had to rise up just so they could see me. Did what I had to do just to feed me. And what was left over I put towards my dreaming. But the only thing in life that has meaning are the things you gotta work for, believe me. Take into your hands a plan, your own hands can land your own brand. And damn, I feel like no one takes accountability. They want the credibility, convincingly unwilling to put in the hours it takes to get some power. Don't be f***ing sour, take a cold shower. Scream until you're louder, work until you're prouder. And f*** all the doubters, they're just your downers. I swear to God they all let me down. I always fought just to wear the crown. I'm off at these fucking clowns who were up top, they deserve an ounce. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown. Let's go. I'm just telling you to fight for your dreams, but it's not what it seems. Man, it's hard to be seen when everybody wants to be king. Yeah, they all wanna ring. Yeah, we all wanna be free. It's only worth it if you work for it. It's only worth it if you work for it. I won't stop till they hear me now. I won't stop till I wear the crown.
The Biggest Dream. And this is by Thenia. You're laughing already.
I love this one.
Thenia Corelli. I don't know technically where to place this one, but I know that I have a soft spot for it. It has a lot of personality. It's different from the other ones. It's funny. That's the major thing. It made me laugh.
I thought this was like the funniest of all the entries. Just seeing the tennis ball being all sad, sitting in decked out in tennis gear, watching a match. It was just, I was smiling throughout watching The Biggest Dream. And just seeing how everything was like made out of balls.
Yeah.
I thought that was like really creative.
It's world building. Yeah.
Yeah.
Even just like the posters in the background and things, and just seeing little opportunities to create this world where everything is a ball of some type.
Yeah. I feel like the animator had a lot of fun making this one as well. So that transferred over to me as I was watching it.
Yeah, I gave this one high score in originality. Surprisingly, not as many entries went for the comedy stuff this year.
Yeah, they made it self-original in that way. It was super funny, which I gave it pretty high marks in originality, but the most points I gave it in was the entertainment. Very similar to Run It Back, the music video. I was just having fun watching it. I think that's super duper important for
Very
film.
Important. So well done to Thenia. Really nice.
The Biggest Dream, yeah. I'm going to start not positive on this one. Okay. But
you're coming round to something positive though, right?
Of course I am. I felt like, to me, the camera moves too much. It just...
Often the way with 3D. Yeah.
Often the way with 3D. It's too much. In that sense, it just needs to be boarded through properly. Just the boarding, I think, would stop the camera moving. Just because you can move it doesn't necessarily mean it needs to. Having said that, it was so fun to come across something like this. You know, what a great turnaround that it's like got these comedic elements. It does what it needs to do. Yeah, the comedy's great. And especially it's this tennis ball's biggest dream to be served up.
To be just whacked around the court.
To be beaten senselessly.
Yeah. He's so motivated.
He's so motivated. And I love the aesthetic choices that are made in this kind of this spherical world. Everything's spherical, all the sets, everything. It's all
very
well
fun.
thought through.
Yeah.
Very fun. Yeah. You've got these beautiful, subtle, nice bits of storytelling. The girl's looking at the guy lifting the weights. He wants to have that. It's simply
the golf ball girl.
So well put. The golf ball girl and the basketball man.
Yeah, the big basketball man.
The big basketball, massive basketball. Comedy is a very difficult thing to do, and it means that they've definitely done it right here to make us laugh. And it's like, how can you make that so much more impactful? Just don't move the camera. You've already done all the heavy lifting. You've done it all. It's all there. Congratulations. It's so good in that sense. And that's why I think the two biggest scores I gave here were story and originality, because it's so much fun. Like we said, he just gets beaten around at the end. I wasn't expecting that. I was expecting him to get the golf ball girl. He never goes back to her.
Yeah. You're thinking, he wants to impress the golf ball girl. Nope. If I was a comedian, I would be looking at ways that this could be pushed.
Yeah.
But that's not in my skill set, so I'm not the one to ask for how to push comedy. But it works.
So well done.
Yes, well done.
Well done. My Sister's Shiny Stone. I read the title. I didn't know what to make of it. But I watched this film. It grabbed me immediately and it never let go. And I think it's a brilliantly succinct way to show the start and end of a revenge story. And it doesn't give you anything more than what you need at any stage.
Yeah.
The tragedy that this kid endures, losing his father, his sister's kidnapped, the scars that he bears, it's not just like tragedy down and then back up. There's laughter. There's moments of his journey he's laughing with his mentor. It's a life lived, and they show that. But then there's the tragedy again. So it's like this kind of up, down reflection of what a true life would be. It's not just someone burning with vengeance in their heart.
Being moody for 20 years. No, it wouldn't be that way. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah. And it doesn't give that. And it stems out of this small, innocuous moment that we've all had as being a kid, jealous of our siblings' possession or a friend's possession or something. And I think it's just beautiful storytelling. Really good. And it's a great example of a short that has a singular piece of music throughout, right? It's a score that works all the way through it, but it works so well because it's consistently amping up the pace, or at least the pace as it was offering to me. It matched it beautifully. It dictates a lot because there's not a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot of.
I don't think there's any dialogue. Yeah.
You're right. There isn't any dialogue. I don't know why I was imagining them talking in my head. It's crazy.
No, you're right. There is not a lot of dialogue.
Yeah. So they're telling the story visually.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Did you find it's very hyper focused? Almost every shot of this is on those central characters.
Yeah. And even when it gets down to the action, it's still quite tight. And there's some wider shots of it getting into it, but then it's still tight. I'm just looking at my scores here, and I gave it a very high entertainment score because it kept me focused on the right things. But also on story and animation as well are pretty close. You put a lot of details in these models, and that's hard to turn around. That's hard to keep consistent. But they managed to keep it consistent, and that's a job well done. Yeah, I love that. What was your highest score on?
I really like the animation and art. Looking in his palm at this shiny stone, that stone actually looks shiny, and that's something I struggle with, is making a stone really look shiny. But that shows just how they really know what they're doing with that kind of stuff. Yeah. This one really went by fast for me. The pace was pretty breakneck pace, without dialogue, silent film, everything communicated visually, which for a story like this, very ambitious.
Yeah, it definitely had that epic scale about it. And I was playing catch up for perhaps like the first third, and then I was like into the story.
Yeah.
I remember going through your Discord server and just looking at like the progress of people submitting progress of their films. And I saw a screenshot from this animation, and it just looked awesome with just how rendered the characters were. It felt very like anatomically grounded.
Yeah.
And I was impressed by just that technical skill there.
Yeah, I've seen this artist's work in a previous entry for a previous contest with keyframe clips. I knew as soon as I started watching this one that it's the same animator, because the art style to me is very recognizable. Very energetic frame by frame animation with really strong, clear poses.
Even though it was choppy during some of the action scenes, like they sold the action, and I felt it. It was just so satisfying at the end, just seeing that guy get chopped down. I was like, right on, just take him out. Yeah, story-wise, I enjoyed that. From childhood all the way to adulthood,
it's a big story.
That's a lot of ground to cover.
Yeah, that one for me, given it quite strong scores in animation, art, and originality.
Yeah, I gave it high marks in art and entertainment, just because good amount of fight scenes and that satisfying ending. But across the board, it was very consistently high.
So well done, Tilakis. Really good stuff.
Aw, yeah! You guys see that? My 3rd strike in a row.
Yes, congratulations, Lucas. We're all very impressed in your ability to roll a ball.
I don't know. I thought it looked pretty cool.
Hey guys! Sorry I'm late. I got us some pizza.
It looks like there's an extra slice.
Anybody want it?
Sure.
Oh, I know. Let's see who can knock down the most pins.
Seriously? You've got to be joking.
What's the matter, dude? Afraid of losing?
I'm in! This sounds like fun!
Yeah, why not?
Fine. But absolutely no tricks. Got it?
Whatever you say, buddy.
Okay then. Let's do
Mills. Disaster. For me, that's epitome. Wreck tracks for me came natural, nil disease. They said I wouldn't last long, but I'm still here, so now they all up in my mouth. Trying to steal air, so off of the flow. Could've controlled the demeanor that I wear. Could've combined your own with my flow, the sounds and I go. Logical and consistent speech. Say you're a rap artist, but the arsenal in your palate's weak. They say you gotta lift, weight to gain weight. Does that mean lifting racks and make it rain? Or lifting up the spin to let the thoughts out from my brain? Excuse me if my process of thinking's a little strange. I'm deranged. That's why I take shots out of my range. It's a way I was made, I really can't explain. Of how I reach for goals impossible to gain. Or how my dreams consist of things you couldn't imagine to obtain. How are you new when your flow so fluent? I don't really know, I'm just out here grinding. How'd you come up so quick? Tell me, how did you do it? I don't really know, I'm just out here grinding. Mills, they say you lack will. Man, forget what you talking about, I'm out here grinding. Not enough hard mixed with not enough skill. Man, forget what you talking about, I'm out here grinding. I'm just a fresh burger who likes living flame. Right now I'm hot dog, but I don't catch feathers from the fame. I'm in the game, running my lane as fast as I can.
I guess she technically knocked all the pins down.
Which means we have ourselves a winner. Nice job, kid. Wanna play another game?
Pizza Party Panic.
Oh, are we on the last one?
We are on the last one.
Nice.
This is a great example of strong characterization, basically character driven the whole way through. And this feels, or it seems like these original characters have been sitting around in someone's brain and potentially their sketchbook for a long time, for a long time, because they're so well thought out and fleshed out. The personalities are so distinct. You can tell that even their appearances are very thought through. And as the story, which is just a bowling contest, progresses, I was curious to see how each character would approach it. I was so intrigued by, as the characters work through, what they're going to bring. The animation was fun. It was stylistic. I can see homages there, sure, but it's a great play of styles. It's very entertaining. It's like a four-way peaceful battle, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it never felt like there was animosity between any of the characters, so it's grounded in that way. These characters, while they have these funky, wacky designs, they feel very realistic, like real people that we know, because they're in a situation that we're familiar with.
There's a great camaraderie that comes across in this film.
Pizza Party Panic. So a nice alliteration there with the title. By Timothy Clavier. I thought the characters looked really nice. The way they've been drawn and designed and everything, with a lot of personality, very friendly, approachable style. But just a diverse crew of odd characters that are friends that are having a bowling party.
Yeah, it felt like a bit of slice of life.
Yeah.
I think it nailed that tone very well. Especially it threw in a fair bit amount of humor. So it felt like an episode of something you'd see on TV.
Yeah. I think that's what they were going for. I think they were styling it after maybe a TV episode.
Yeah, each having their own personalities and own voice acting as well. It felt very full and complete, cohesive, which is, in the world of independent animation, that's an accomplishment, the full compositing and everything. Perhaps I wanted to offer a little bit of critique, just because I just want to see it do even better, is that perhaps one of the microphones might have been a lower quality than the other voice actors.
Right, yeah.
And perhaps some of the character animation could be more grounded in the fundamentals. All the other strengths of the animation really help make it great.
I mean, we saw a lot of experimentation as well with some of those character moments in the bowling and trying different things with the art style, going for a more sketchy style at times and things like that. That's why I gave it the standout in the art, just because I could recognize on two different fronts the fact that there was experimentation in some of those moments in the animation, and also the character designs I thought were fun, interesting character designs. I liked the story as well, just that we're so used to having life or death scenarios, the character's gonna die, and with this one it's just the character's gonna win a slice of pizza.
So just fighting over pizza.
You can make a story out of just that, the character wants the slice of pizza.
I gave it a standout in art as well, and also entertainment. You just reminded me of those awesome compositing moments with the dragon and their special moves. It was cool that they stretched their compositing and experimented with the different palettes. So that was a delight to watch.
Great. All right, now that we've seen the finalist entries, it's time to announce the winners of this year's contest. But before I do, which film did you like the most? You can influence the Audience Choice Award for this round by voting at our poll, the link for which is in the description box of this video. First of all, a reminder to viewers that the links to all the prizes are listed in the description in case you want to buy one of these items for yourself, help out our sponsors, and make this contest worthwhile for them. I'd say if you appreciate the sponsors doing this for this non-profit event, then show your appreciation by engaging with these companies. That goes for TV Paint, XP Pen, and AnimatorGuild.com. Let's move on to the trifecta. The third place prizes include TV Paint Standard Edition, an XP Pen Artist Pro 14 second generation tablet, a Motion Lab reference bundle, and an Animator Guild cap. In third place, we have Tilakis X with the short film My Sister's Shiny Stone. Congratulations. Really loved your film. All three of us judges thought your film was excellent, really epic animation. We loved it, so thank you so much for submitting, and I will be in contact with you shortly to arrange sending you these prizes. In second place, for the prize of TV Paint Standard Edition, XP Pen Artist 22 second generation tablet, a Motion Lab reference bundle of your choice, and a Motion Lab t-shirt, we have H4 with his short film, How to Survive a Flood. Congratulations. This film, we can tell, is so meaningful to you, and we just loved it. We laughed. Some of us cried from watching your film. It was an excellent experience all round. So congratulations for winning second place. We'll be in contact with you shortly to arrange sending you those prizes. And that leaves first place. For first place, we have prepared TV Paint Professional Edition, an XP Pen Artist 24 Pro tablet, Mastering Motion full online course, a Motion Lab reference bundle of your choice, a unique Animator Guild Champion hoodie, and a podcast appearance. So, the first place prize goes to Gabicon with her music video, Run It Back. Congratulations.
Well, you wanna say that you know me, you don't know me, you don't know me, well, you think you know. Running right back to the old me. Well, you wanna say that you know me, you don't know me, you don't know me, well, you think you know. Running right back to the old me. Well, you wanna say that you know me, you don't know me, you don't know me, well, you think you know. Running right back to the old me. Well, you wanna say that you know me, you don't know me, you don't know me, well, you think you know.
We all loved this video. I mean, it was a fantastic experience, and you can tell that just by how many times we played it back. Thank you so much, Gabicon, for that amazing entry. I think it's really deserving of first place. I can tell the hard work and love that's gone into this entry, and I'm proud to announce you as the winner. Wow, what an amazing collection of films. I mean, it makes me proud to see indie animation flourishing and how we as a community can come together and celebrate and support each other. 2D animation and 3D animation and indie animation is flourishing here online, and there is a lot of talent out here and a lot of things happening, a lot of projects in the works, and I think we've really proved that this year. We've come together as a community and we've put on this amazing event thanks to all of us. If this collection doesn't inspire you to make a film of your own, I don't know what will. I mean, now that I have finished editing and hosting this contest, it really is time for me to get back to my own short film, to my animation work. Thanks for joining me on this premiere event. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have some drawing to do.